Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Today I want to share another video. We're talking about liquidity sweeps today, and why is this so important, and why I use it, or why people use it as an additional confirmation to open a position. So basically, the idea is once your price enters in an interesting zone or position for any potential longs or short, you usually want to see where is liquidity, and if there is available liquidity, you want to wait for that sweep first, right? So I'm gonna give you some examples why this is important. So, for example, in the higher time frame. So I want to say also you see this a lot in the higher time frame and lower time frame. So everywhere. So this is an example of where liquidity is where you need to wait for a liquidity sweep, and why this is important. As you can see, there this level has been tested many times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What does this mean? This means that buyers are getting less interested. Buyers are getting filled. Eventually, you want to see. Eventually, you can expect, especially in a level like this, it will get swept out, and this is the liquidity sweep. And as you can see, it sweeps. It indeed sweeps out, and this could have been a potential entry for a short. And this is just a scenario, right? Liquidity gets taken out, and that's your confirmation to go for in a short, something like that. Although I would say this example is not the best, but the idea is generally you see liquidity behind it, behind a certain zone, and this in this case here buyers are getting filled, and you would have more short sellers. I'm gonna look for another example. Same here. Same thing here. We have liquidity behind this. A lot of people have sell orders here behind this. Sell order 1, sell order 2, sell order 3, 4, 5. And what we do, we see what's happening is it gets taken out, and then you wait for a pullback, and then you can put an entry. So that's very interesting. And this is a very these are just examples. These are not correct examples. Let's see where I can find it more. You will see this also in a lower time frame. So let's go here, for example. I think it's better to go to the 15-minute chart. So for example, this is a very interesting zone, right? This is a supply zone. If we could zoom in this price, normally people, what they want to do is they see price entering that zone, they wait for a break of structure, and then they put the entry here, and they hope to see a lot of price gain, a lot of profit. But what you want to wait actually is what you see actually, if you see in this price structure, it's not really clean, right? There's a lot of liquidity behind it. So we have liquidity here, even liquidity from this previous price construction. So you want to see some kind of strong sweep. What do we see? Actually also, we also see liquidity build up behind this structure here. And I think I wouldn't necessarily call it liquidity build up, but it's more like it's an indication of buyers turning into sellers or sellers turning into buyers. So here, sellers are getting lost. Eventually, buyers will take interesting, and there will be a liquidity. Yeah, not really liquidity build up, but what the consequences is that you see some kind of sweep. Once you see the sweep, that's where you want to wait for the pullback, and then enter the market. It'd be here or here, whatever. So let's clean up the chart a bit. We have the same thing here in the opposite. We have a trend build up here. A lot of sellers behind these levels or lows. It sweeps right out, and because of the higher time frame trend is a downtrend, you'll look for a short position. So that's where you enter the trade. So in this case, if we go to our next price target will be around here. Well, it's really hard to find an entry here because we have so many levels. What can we say? We probably know there's a lot of liquidity behind here, right? Most people would have put a trade here, entry here, but as you can see, it had some kind of resistance, didn't work. It sweeps out, sweep out. Then retest from this level. Unfortunately, you wouldn't have been filled. No, you wouldn't have been filled. Maybe you would, I don't know. Price sweeps again, takes the liquidity from here. Price comes back. You think, okay, I'm gonna put a trade again, but in reality, you see another sweep to the down, and you take all this liquidity until the price level around here. And keep in mind, there's also liquidity behind these levels here. So in the future, you will see some interaction with this as well, as this is an untested area. Yeah, so another condition to fulfill this is you want to see some kind of gain. So in this case, your second confirmation is you want to gain a level here. So you gain this level, that's where you go back for the pullback. In this case, I would have probably put my trade here or here if you want to be more defensive. But in this case, you would probably not have been filled. If you would have been really aggressive, you see your second gain here of this level, of this price structure, and then you put your entry there. But I have to admit, that would be really hard. I don't think many people would have been fortunate to take that trade. So as I said, now that we know this level liquidity here has been tested, we have new liquidity here as well, but we also still have the liquidity here. So these are now your fresh liquidity areas. Yeah. Yeah, same thing here, right? A build-up of liquidity, sweep it out, and then you go for an entry. Boom. Right? We have your first indication is trend reversal. Trend reversal. We see a lot of liquidity behind it. You want to see a sweep, then pullback, enter your trade. Would have been very nice trade, right? So right now, where do we see liquidity now? This is a replay. So we see liquidity here, We also see some liquidity here. So these are interesting areas for entries, right? For a larger time frame. And let's see if I go out of this replay. Let's see what happens. Here we see indeed liquidity gets taken out, sweep to the down, aggressive selling behavior, entry here. So again, you take out this whole liquidity. Liquidity is taken out. Strong aggressive selling behavior, and that's where you put your entry back. Right? So very good. Let's see. We have still liquidity here. So see, price stops at a certain level. Oh, price stops at a certain level here. But here we see also 1, 2, 3 times tested. Sellers are turning, buyers are turning into sellers, or I would say the sellers are taking over for a moment. We sweep it out. The last bit of liquidity here. It's not actually the whole liquidity, to be honest. So there's actually still more. It gets tested, and then pullback, entry, or this would have been entry, pullback, and then you would have taken an entry there, right? And keep in mind, even though the structure here is a downtrend, it's still on a higher time frame. It's on the uptrend, although the momentum is switching. I agree. So right now, still interesting areas is really like this area now. So yeah, that's a bit about liquidity sweep. So every time you take a trade, you see the same thing here. A lot of liquidity behind this. So if your entry is here, right, this is your supply zone. Most likely you will expect something like this. You'll see a price interaction, sweep, then you need to see your second confirmation again, and this is the trigger of an entry. Buy. Here as well, I think it's a bit more difficult. It's tricky. I would say it's more clean. But same thing. You want to test this area. You want to go in, enter this zone, go up, and you want to see some kind of sweep, gain, entry. Right? So that's your confirmation. And then we have our last area here. I think this is a very interesting setup. Entry here, sweep, gain. So these are your entries. So this is how you really want to deal with these kind of setups. And hope you guys learned something. I hope it wasn't too boring. I feel like I could have talked a bit faster or more efficiently, but these are interesting ideas in my head.